All right. Hi, everyone. I am Kitsap's own reporter Nathan Pilling coming to you today with a pretty exciting story representing us on this side of the water here in Kitsap. Joining me today is Jeffrey Veregge. Jeffrey is a Kitsap resident and he is a member of the Port Gamble Sklallam tribe. He's an artist and he's a writer, and he's done work that has certainly extended far beyond here in Kitsap. He's done work with Marvel, and he's had art displayed at the Smithsonian's National Museum of the American Indian in New York City. And he's here today to chat with us a little bit about a big project he's had under wraps for a little while now. I know he's excited to chat about. Before we get to that, though, I want to introduce Jeffrey here a little bit and some of the work that he does and kind of what he's about. Jeffrey, first, thanks for joining me today. Why don't you start by giving folks a sense of the room that you're sitting in right now? It's a fan cave, it's your workspace. Give folks a sense of the place where you're sitting right now, and maybe perhaps most importantly, how do you get any work done in that fun room there?
Oh, thank you. This is my study. I call it an adventure room. Everything in here is a reflective of the things that I love growing up and still love. I got a little bit of, you could say it's a little bit of Indiana Jones. It's a little bit of Star Trek. It's a little bit of comic book. It's got a little bit of everything in here that I like. It's daily sources of inspiration for me. It's just reminds me of why I do what I do.
That's cool. You're a big comics guy. You're a sci-fi guy. Are there any particular pieces in there that you particularly enjoy or that are favorites for you? Is there anything in?
I do. If you have a second, I could grab
Yeah,
pieces.
do it. Go for it. I gotta say, I've been into the inner sanctum there a couple times for a couple stories that I've written. It is certainly an inspiring room.
This is one of my first pieces that I did. It was amazing. It was my first Spider-Man. I did this maybe 6 years ago. It was the second piece I did. It was right after I did the Bat, and I got Stan Lee was able to sign this for me. And so this is one of my favorite pieces that I have, to be able to have the creator of Spider-Man sign work that I'm known for is definitely something that I'm really proud of.
That's pretty cool. Well, neat. Well, Jeffrey, maybe for folks who aren't familiar with your work or who don't know you yet and might soon, why don't you introduce yourself? Some of your work, maybe some of the projects that are most close to your heart, some of the big projects that you've been involved with over the years.
Yeah, so I grew up here in Kingston, Little Boston, Port Gamble Sklallam tribe. Went to Art Institute of Seattle, graduated there in 2000 as an honor graduate. Got to study with David Boxley, Simshan master artist, carver. He taught me the basics of what I do is with form line design, his Simshan Alaskan. My work is infused with graphic design and illustration techniques. It's not pure form line design. It takes elements and uses those. It's strongly influenced, but I do it in a way that allows, if you were to see the native voice, the native inspirations behind it, but it's not pure form. It's not pure traditional native art. The work that I've got to do, I have over 100 comic book covers for Marvel, IDW, and Valiant, working from everything from Red Wolf, which I was for Marvel, which was their main cover artist and story consultant, to Captain America, Guardians of the Galaxy, Black Panther. I was part of their 80th anniversary special that they just did this last year, where I got to do a page, illustrated page that Taboo, the Black Eyed Peas wrote. I've worked on Transformers, G.I. Joe, Star Trek, everything that I've loved as a kid. But I've also got to do some other works. Like you said, the Smithsonian, I worked with Marvel, and the Smithsonian created a 250-foot murals for their museum in New York, and it was displayed there for 15 months. They ended up purchasing that for their permanent collection, so they're pulling that back out after the COVID-19 lets up, so they can get, because they had really strong demand for that. I helped design a Veterans Memorial Park for the Muckleshoot tribe in Auburn, where I designed a waterfall or a water, some monuments there. uh, a VIP entrance for the Snoqualmie Casino, a library mural for Kingston High School. Where else have I done? Oh, Native American for PBS. I won a Telly, was part of a Telly Award for the work I did on that, where I created the opening sequence and concept for that, the artwork for that. I've got to create murals for Citizen M Hotel, which will be unveiling here this summer in Seattle, and working on a job on 12th and Yesler, where I'll be designing these screens for an apartment complex, and a job in Ballard where I'm designing my first big 3D piece, over 20 feet tall sculptural piece that will be unveiled probably by 2025.
All right, cool. Well, all of that, your work is certainly broad, and that certainly has led up to this big project that you're working on now. Why don't I'll just jump right into it, and I'll give you the platform here. Tell us a little bit about this project and what you've had in the works here for a few months, and where it'll be, what it'll look like. Give us some of the details.
Okay, so I'm really excited. About a year ago, I had my first solo show at the Stonington Gallery in Pioneer Square. And while I was there, a member of the NHL committee that was building the new arena at Seattle Center approached me and told me that I was being considered to create an art piece for the structure. And I was pretty excited. And as time progressed throughout the year, we remained in contact to the point where 2 weeks ago, I signed the final contract for that. And I start working on that in June. It'll be a large scale exit mural that will be strongly featured, that everybody at least will be able to see at least once or twice during their visits there, and pretty excited about that.
That's pretty cool. When we were talking earlier, you mentioned some of the influence and sort of some of the ideas that are going to go into this piece. You're obviously sort of in the early phases of this, but give folks a sense of what this might look like and how you put together something like this.
You know, I want to honor the city in which it is. We all have been there. We've all been to Seattle Center at least one point in our life, for either a concert, a game, some sort of event. My sister, she graduated college there a few years ago, and they had their ceremony there. So I want to incorporate all this, the World's Fair, Jimi Hendrix, all these things that are iconic of Seattle, but also the little things that maybe people don't know, like the story of the USS Nautilus being launched from here down in Seattle. That was the first atomic submarine that went under the Arctic Circle, which was huge news back in its day, that America took pride in. Just adding little touches like that serve as reminders of what makes Seattle great, what makes the Pacific Northwest great, and why we all love it.
Sure. That's cool. Well, this is certainly a big moment for you. I mean, in terms of, representing your career and sort of the point where you've gotten to at this point, it's certainly a moment where you represent, yourself, your tribe, this art, this community on this side of the water. I know folks are probably going to be pretty proud of you once they see this. What does that mean to you to be at this point in your career where you have a project this big, where this many people, not only folks here in Seattle will see it, but folks coming in from out of town will see it. What does that mean to you?
The fact that the committee chose and wants to honor the Native people that lived here, the first peoples that were in the area, and having me create a piece this scale at this location to represent that is one of the greatest honors I've ever had in my life. And it's one that is exciting and scary at the same time, because I want to make sure that I do the right thing, that I do the right job, that I want everybody to feel like, I don't want to feel inclusive. I want to feel like everybody has something there they can point to and say, yes, that's me, or that represents something of me.
Sure, that's cool. Maybe speak a little bit, when we were talking earlier, you mentioned some of your Sonics fandom and sort of the added elements of maybe affinity that you have for this project. Can you speak a little bit to that? It sounds like you have spent some time at the arena there.
Oh yeah, the Sonics games were so much fun to go to, that I'm a huge Mariner fan. Yeah, and the Mariners will always be my first love. However, going to the Sonic games was just a different kind of intensity. You get right up there with the players. You could slap slap hands with them when they're going into the game, when they're warming up. You could, it felt like you're right there on the court with them at times. And the concerts were always great. Going there and seeing Elton John and seeing Bon Jovi was awesome. The sound in there was always great. And the seats were always wonderful. And having memories of going there for the home show with my mom and dad and meeting Ed Hume, that was always a really cool thing. I know as a little kid, you know, getting geeky about Ed Hume was something, you know, he was on TV, you know, every Sunday. So I remember watching that with my parents, and be able to be a part of that now, know that I'm creating artwork that will be memories for others, is such an awesome feeling.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Once, when you sort of get to the points, obviously fast forward a few months from now, once the arena is finished and your work is hanging up there, once you go to perhaps the first game or when they unveil your art, what do you think you'll be thinking at that point? What do you think will be going through your head?
Honestly, I'll probably be looking at everything where I messed up, that I will see every flaw, every nook, every cranny that I may have missed, or I feel like I misdesigned. It's just as a natural thing, but I also will be sit back and think, wow, I did this, and be a moment of tears and joy and pride for me. Definitely one of those situations where I will be very speechless.
Yeah, that's neat. Jeffrey, last question from me. Are you a hockey fan? Do you think that you will be one? And perhaps, do you have, if maybe you were put in charge, if you were able to wave a wand, is there a name for the team? I know that's the name that everyone is sort of eager to find out. Would you have, do you have a preference or a name that's that you might throw out there that you might advocate for at this point?
I'm not an NHL fan, but I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see the games. Just the idea, it feels like it'd be basketball with the physicality of football, and you get the MMA there with the fight. You get a fight or two. That's going to be fun. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. As far as the name goes, I don't know the name of the team yet. I hope it's, you know, something that's we can all relate to. I like anything that has to do with octopus, just because octopus is one of my favorite creatures, most intelligent. We got the biggest here in Puget Sound. So something like that would be cool. But definitely something that's represents all. And I'm sure the team, the owners will definitely find something that's iconic for us to that'll represent our home.
Yeah, well, I know folks are eager to find out. But good deal. Jeffrey, thanks for joining me here today. If folks want to check your workouts online or follow you or any of your work, what's the best way to do that? How should folks get in touch with you and keep track of you?
I have a website. It's jeffreyveregge.com, but I also keep updates on Twitter and on Facebook as well.
Cool. All right, good deal. Jeffrey, thanks for joining me here today. Thanks for talking a little bit about this project. I know folks are going to be excited to hear about it and see it once it's eventually up. But yeah, good deal. Thanks, Jeffrey.
Thank you.